What I'm about to read today is called Things I Learned. They asked me for a heading to my speech, and this is the best that I could find. A very, very good afternoon to everyone present here today in the audience, especially to my fellow speakers, all powerhouse women. And a big thank you to the TED Talks group. I am an ardent fan. I frequently watch TED Talks when I feel low. Thank you, IMI, for hosting the event here today. You must excuse me for reading out from a written text. I was actually quite apprehensive when asked to give a TED Talk. The talks are usually given by eminent inspirational people, and well, I have never thought that I could inspire anyone. I'm still trying to, make a sense of my life, learning and unlearning, mostly failing and sometimes, succeeding, answering all the questions that run wild in my mind. Sometimes the questions are quite overpowering. So in order not to make a mess of my 18-20 minutes, I decided to write down whatever it is that I have to say, to make it easier for you. I remember my childhood very clearly. I have an elephant's memory. My mother walking out one cold winter night, me trailing behind her, a girl of 3, from her first abusive marriage to my biological father. Us sitting at Hedua Park till dawn because my mother was too shy to go and seek help from a man at night. Then reaching Akshonish Bibekanand Road in the wee hours of the morning, the next day, where my darling Dari Baba lived. Being shifted to Allahabad to live with my grandmother, because Ma did not have enough money to provide for the both of us. And then getting a call in 1980, when I was 6, from Ma saying that she wanted to marry Dari Baba, and if it was all right with me. Well, I quite liked him really. A dark man with curly black hair and a big, very big, bright white smile. I blackmailed them into giving me a pet dog and finally gave my blessings. And I guess this is where my life, as I know it now, started. At Kolkata, with a passionate firebrand mother and a liberal, leftist, non-conformist, progressive father, Shatilekha Sengupta and Rudraprasad Sengupta. I am so super proud that they are my parents. I must also mention here that I come from a family of hard-to-manage women. My grandmother's youngest sister is Meera Mukhopadhyay, the famous sculptor, who ran away from an abusive marriage, boarded a ship to Germany, learned sculpting, and then came back to live in at Shantiniketan with Ram Kinkar Bej. She started the tribal mela at Shonajhuri for the tribal women, was against exhibiting or selling her art, and often dodged journalists and the media, and lived a meager and happy life filled with passion for music, playing the esraj, singing Robindra Sangeet, and sculpting huge bronze sculptures till the day she died, happy and on her own terms. So I grew up with a lot of independence. My mother taught me how to cook a simple survival meal when I was 8 years old. Have a bath, tie my hair, get ready for school, polish my shoes. I used to learn Bharatnatyam at Kalamandalam, and I remember that Ma would put me on the 8B bus to Dover Lane, where I would be collected by a friend's mother, and after my lessons put on the returning bus home, all by myself. I was 10 years old. Well, this might seem unreal or cruel to many of you, but this is exactly how I was raised. To survive on my own, my mother told me that she was too poor and too busy to pamper me. She told me that, she was setting 2 options before me. In order to survive, it was either flight, or fight. With time and a lot of failures, I learned how to survive. Then I went on to a co-ed cosmopolitan school, the Assembly of God Church School, had fantastic friends and teachers, got suspended a few times, colored my hair blue, was a truant child, forged report card marks, and yet, with their love and patience, went on to become the school Gold House, the Buntain House vice captain. There are two incidents that I would like to share with you to make you laugh. I remember playing very, very loud music in my room one night and jumping on the bed, air guitaring. And Baba was a little irritated because he was trying to, quietly read a book. And he came into my room and gave me a good scolding. So I had to teach him a lesson for interfering with my independence. I packed 12 plastic bags and stomped out at night. I was leaving them. I was running away. So Baba let me go. I walked on a bit in the dark, cold night, but after a while I kept looking back to see if Baba was following. And sure he was. There's no fun being angry if you're not being watched. Another time, I was caught reading pornography. I remember Baba's books. I remember Baba slipping a long 8-page letter into my study books, teaching me about aesthetics and the advantages of good versus bad literature. There is a purpose to why I am saying all that I am right now. It is that they let me experiment with life, form my own independent set of choices, and I later developed into a free-thinking individual, irrespective of gender, who learned to ask a lot of questions, made a lot of wrong or right choices, but all of these choices were my own. And you see, the minute you start making choices, you start asking a lot of questions, you refuse to conform, you become a problem to people around you. 1996. I graduated with English honors from Jadavpur University, got married, was asked to join theatre full-time, and the questions started running rife again in my mind. Who am I? Who am I as I stand on the empty, dark terrace of my new house, all alone, with my potted plants, talking quietly to the sparrows who came to love the Notun bow? Who exactly am I? What is my role in this life? Am I supposed to be a happily married housewife with a successful actor and take care of him, cook for him, sleep with just him, raise his children and achieve these happy goals while he goes about fulfilling his dreams? To what use do I put my education? Am I supposed to be just passed on from a good father to a good husband and maybe onto a good son? You see, when a marriage fails, it is not necessarily being out of love. It is not that one of the partners was bad or cruel. Some people might have a lot of questions, existential questions, and they might be women. Yes, in this patriarchy, women too might have things that they want to ask, things that they want to say, they want to share. So during this time, we were rehearsing for Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge, and I fit the role of the female protagonist, Catherine. The play was called Gotruhin, and I played Shahin. It was adapted by my father. I was coaxed into the rehearsal room, and this was the most important turning point in my life. A discovery of self. I met theatre. Here I was, full of myself, my questions, my education, my big body, my set of illustrious parents, and I was failing miserably. I could not stand properly on the stage, had no sense of stage movements, was afraid of people finding out my true self. I felt insecure, almost as if I was without clothes on. I was horribly scared to face people staring at me. I was this completely stuck up, anglicized young girl with a very bad Bangla enunciation and had absolutely no place in Bangla theatre. So again, I remember what my mother taught me: flight or fight. So I practiced on myself daily, unlearning and learning anew, failed, screamed, and the many times I was told that I was not beautiful or could not make it, I hit harder and harder and I pushed myself harder. I told myself that of course I can do it, I have to do it. I might not be beautiful, but for me I am. I got myself a job, walked out from all the people who said that I would not make it, and I laid myself bare on stage. I practiced. And when the lights dimmed, I let my heart out on center stage. And in that instance, I felt beautiful and strong and empowered. I was able to share my emotions with complete strangers, feel in sync with them, and that is such a satisfying, unifying feeling with the lives around you, when you feel that, well, you are not the only one who is in pain. So this is why I am still doing what I am. Whenever I feel stressed and inconfident, I run back to my art, to practice and now to teach. The pursuit of theatre in India is a very difficult one. We have constant fund crunch, lack of state or central support. An actor's official salary is rupees 6,000 per month. The audience has to be wooed in regularly with creative out-of-the-box ideas, away from their safe TV sets, the grand multiplexes, and of course their darling mobile phones. I mean, seriously, when they have Leonardo DiCaprio strutting his stuff on their phones, why on earth would they come for me? So you see, you cannot blame them. It's just their mad work schedules, the traffic in the metro cities, their bad food habits, the tough children's educations, the loans, and the list goes on. You cannot blame them. Life has become much, much more complicated than it was a few years back. Where is the time in this FOMO age to sit down quietly with a book or come for an energizing, quiet, fulfilling theatre performance? So why do I still carry on? Am I nuts? After a few national awards, a well-paid teaching job, teaching first-generation learners or female learners at a government school, a few good films, a successful second marriage with 3 canine kids, why do I still carry on? I have no answer to that. You might blame it on the questions in my mind, the things that still await answers. I mean, why do you fall in love when you know in your heart that you might be hurt? Why do you add on a weight when you deadlift? You might fail. Or why do you live when you surely know that you're going to die one day? I have no answer why I still carry on. But I think that the practice of theatre and art is a very important one, especially now when we are so disconnected, when we are always trying to conform. Because when you practice theatre and art, there are certain questions that are raised in you. Am I living well with 100% of my mind and body? Am I really using my mind? Am I always trying to be creative? Am I going for an exercise routine every morning? Am I aware of disease? Am I loving well myself and all those around me? Am I making enough noise so that generations who come after me might be inspired not to conform, might be inspired to have voices of dissent, because only then will you be protected from powerful political, yes, political forces, if you have your own voices of dissent. So the next time you see, when you meet an actor, please try to look beyond his or her makeup and clothes into their minds. The minds that are seeking answers to the questions that run rife. There is this poem that I teach, a very cliched one, all of you must have read it, but I absolutely love it. I teach it to first-generation learners, Bengali girls in my school, and I wonder often what Rudyard Kipling has anything to do with their lives. But it's an easy poem. Isha, can you please come and play it for me? I would like to leave you with this poem, and I would like to read the third paragraph, this third stanza. It's a poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. Please read on. I'll just read the third and my favorite stanza. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. Can you scroll it upwards? And that's it. This little PS that I have. Please, please bring yourselves and your children to theatre and arts to make them socially cooperative and to make them a little different. Thank you so much.